Hey to all metal maniacs, welcome to another episode on the Iron Horde channel. For those who have been following us with these midweek videos with a focus on cultural aspects, you might already know that last week I made a video with 10 things not to say to a metalhead. For this week I'm doing something similar, but rather than viewing it from an outsider to a metalhead perspective, this time round I will be speaking about some issues I have with metalhead themselves. So as usual, grab your favorite beer or pour some fine scotch and let's head straight towards 10 things that annoy me about metalheads. Let's go! Welcome back and thanks for joining us again for this video. If you're new here, the aim of this channel is to review albums, festivals, suggest bands, delve into cultural aspects of heavy metal in general and more. So if you're interested in this content, please consider supporting this channel by subscribing, liking and sharing our videos on social media. You will find many videos for sure detailing things you shouldn't say to a metalhead, but you will find very few of them, if any, with regards to metalheads who speak about things that annoy them about metalheads. Maybe sometimes we find ourselves so immersed in some of these situations that we barely notice them. Whilst I was drafting out the list here, I noticed that most of these things are related to situations during a gig, concert or festival. So without waiting any longer, in the 10th place I have put crate digging etiquette. I have various issues with this. First of all, mind that pint of beer in your hand whilst you're searching for LPs, CDs, etc. It is not the first time I have seen beer spilled on merch stands. Secondly, put the vinyls back in their place. Why pull them out and then leaving them there? Or since they are most of the times in alphabetical order, not inserting them back in the right place. And what's with all the pushing? I mean, if there's no space, take another round around the merch area and come back later. Plenty of things here to do annoy me, but I guess these are people that have no idea how to behave in every situation in their life, I guess. But anyways. In the 9th place I included music versus rest of the merchandise. Let me explain. This seems to be a very recent habit by metalheads which I don't find myself agreeing with, more out of principle than anything else. It refers to people who prefer to buy t-shirts, hoodies, caps, stickers, etc. before buying the most important thing, that is the music. We are speaking about bands here and you're giving priority to everything else but the music. To me, it doesn't really make much sense. Most of the time the reply is, but I'm still supporting the band, and yes, that is true, but to me it feels odd that when speaking about a music band, everything else seems more important than the music. Maybe it is just me, but I would love to hear what everyone else thinks about this, because in the end, as I mentioned, you're still supporting the band, but for me, music is the priority. And position number 8. Metalheads who are bothered by moshing. Now, as most of you know now, I come from a doom metal background. A scene where there isn't much moshing, and I still hate it when people create mosh pits in a doom metal concert, because it is like bringing a car to a bike race. It is still motorsport, but you clearly have no idea of that particular sport. My problem here is actually those who are in the front rows and are bothered when a mosh pit ensues during a thrash or death metal concert. You don't want to be hit? Go to the back. You don't have to be Einstein to predict that a mosh pit will happen during these events. So stop looking angry and take a few steps back and you will be alright. At least when I don't want to mosh, that is what I do. Maybe, I don't know, it's common sense, and common sense is not common at all, it seems. And in position number 7, related to the one before, moshing etiquette. It's like a continuation of the previous point here. In moshing there are certain unwritten rules. If you have no idea what they are, document yourself before trying to be the macho one and going inside a mosh pit. Ignorance is no excuse. If you think moshing is a bar fight, think again. Unfortunately, this stems from the fact that some metalheads have no experience with moshing. They see it as a violent act, and actually to an outsider it might look violent, so when they involve themselves, probably because of fear, they feel the need to keep their elbows high or start kicking with their feet. I mean, when I see this, I immediately understand that these guys have no idea of what the scene is all about and what those unwritten rules are. And those unwritten rules, you learn them from experience. And clearly these guys who act like this have no idea and have no experience. Position number 6, attending a concert or a festival and staying outside. Title says it all, really. I mean, there is a habit of some metalheads to attend a gig, a concert or a festival and stay outside drinking, dancing or whatever for the whole event or most of it. Now, I have to admit, when I attend a festival especially, but even a gig, the bantering, the discussions, the drinking sessions, I love those as much as I love the lineup and the bands. For me, it's a whole package. Throughout the years, I have gotten to know a lot of metalheads from these moments and shared some of the funniest times as well, so it's all good unless obviously it gets out of hand. When you end up staying outside all the time, that for me is disrespectful for the whole festival and to the bands who have put so much work in their performances. I think there must be a balance and in a way be able to experience both. In 5th place, one which goes along with the previous post, putting alcohol before the bands. As in any respectable event, be it metal or not, alcohol is always an important factor. Needless to say, in metal it's quite a major ingredient. Throughout various festivals abroad and some local gigs over the years, I have had some serious drinking sessions with little difference though. With regards to local gigs, they only last a few hours, not enough to actually pass out. Something which actually has happened very, very rarely to me. When I go to festivals abroad, I generally use most of my alcohol credits on the day before the festival. Wake up with a severe hangover, get a good breakfast, and then my attention is solely on the festival with a few pints spread throughout the whole day without overdoing it. And this brings me to the point I'm referring to here. Those metalheads who, instead of being able to enjoy the bands, end up passing out a few hours after the start of the festival and ending not enjoying any of the bands. I mean, where's your commitment to see the bands on stage? Might as well have stayed at the pub or the bar. Not only that, something that bothers me as well is they brag about it afterwards, a concept which I find difficulty to understand really. Missing the podium by a whisker, in 4th place I have included metalheads who only collect rarities. This is quite a recent trend actually. Now, I often criticize the broader metal listeners for sticking only to those dozen bands without delving deeper and finding those long lost metal gems, or those newer bands who sound as good as the great metal bands we all adore. But I'm now finding metalheads who regard even those underground bands who are a bit famous as some kind of trendy band, and they prefer to stick to some unknown band who have only released a demo, probably recorded in a garage. Mind you, I don't actually mind the latter either, but the kind of attitude bothers me, as one should have enough sense to understand between a real trendy or a sellout band from the real deal, no matter how famous they become. And in the end, I think this attitude might end up being very detrimental to the whole scene for obvious reasons. I also would like to add to this point the fact that there seem to be a number of metalheads who, when they purchase vinyls, especially vinyls, but also CDs, they end up buying more than one copy and then reselling them at double or triple the price. That is something, this is also a trend. You find albums on eBay, maybe albums who have a short printing run, and they end up being sold immediately, and people take advantage of that and grab 2 or 3 copies extra and then resell them at a higher price. I think that is something against the ethos of heavy metal, and it's a very consumeristic, capitalistic approach which has nothing to do with heavy metal. And in third place, the issue of North versus South. I have mentioned this in some of the previous videos, although it is not referred to as to a particular group of metalheads, but rather more of an underlying feeling I have gotten throughout the years. And that is that it seems to me that with regards especially to Europe, heavy metal bands coming from the northern part of Europe seem to get much more attention than bands from the southern Mediterranean part. In the underground scene, this feeling is not that prevalent, but from a wider perspective it definitely is. Grab someone who avidly listens to heavy metal and he or she can most probably mention countless bands from Sweden, but can probably mention only a handful if from Italy, for example. You might say, yes, but Sweden has much more metal bands than Italy, and that might be true. But that doesn't mean that one shouldn't know at least a dozen good heavy metal bands from Italy or from Greece or from Spain. And I don't want to be biased and mention Malta here, but what the heck. There are some great ones as well from Malta. The internet has plenty of information for those who obviously want to search for it. And the runner-up is spending the whole show taking photos or videos with your mobile.
Those damn mobile phones.
Not a metal scene exclusive, of course, but I think metalheads should know better than spending a whole show with your hands up in the air and filming a gig. First of all, a number of performers have stated that flashlight from the mobile phones can become annoying. And most importantly, there are other people behind you who would prefer to see the band rather than your hands and your mobile phone. Secondly, why go to a show and have all your attention on your mobile phone screen, looking at what you are filming, rather than enjoying the show with the metalheads around you and interact with them and interact with the band as well. Contrary to other styles of music, metal gigs involve a lot more involvement from the crowd, and you end up missing on all of that just by spending time on your phone. And things I will never understand, really. And the winner is pushing yourself to the front of the venue. This is referred to those who arrive just at the start of a gig or a particular performance when the venue is full and push their way to the front with no regard to who has been keeping their place there in order to have a good spot. I mean, this really pisses me off. And I don't want to hear any excuses that people are drunk or whatever else. If you're not able to get drunk like a damn pro, then don't drink at all. Just behave and let everyone enjoy the show without acting like a spoiled child. I have gotten into plenty of arguments at shows because of this, and rest assured that if someone does this to me, I will bloody let him know. I value something in life, and that is respect, and if you cross that line, obviously two can play that game. I'm including here also the ones that come to the front with a pint of beer in their hand and start spilling beer on everyone. I mean, get a grip on yourselves and be aware that you are dropping beer. It's not, if you drop water, it's nothing, but dropping beer on other people, it stinks, and it's not the best thing, especially if you have long hair. So make sure you get that point. So those should be the major issues I have with the attitude and actions of some metalhead. A small part, really, not because most of the people are really great. Let me know if you agree with these points I made, and which are the ones that really bother you more than others, or some of these which you feel shouldn't have been included at all. Let me know in the comments, and if one or more of these points represent you, I think it is about time now to take a good look in the mirror and ask yourself some questions. Making mistakes is obviously human, persevering is diabolic. Well, that ain't really a deterrent here, I guess. Anyways, you get the point that I'm trying to make. Subscribe, click on the bell, like, share. Thanks for everyone who has already done so, and those who are commenting on the videos. Rest assured, I really appreciate that. So take care, stay safe, and metal on. Cheers.